let's talk through this. Let's jump in and get right to Austin Reaves on Christmas, because that's the one that was really, really fun. Obviously, the Lakers have an enormous win, 115 to 113 against Golden State in what was probably the most fun game of the NBA season that I can remember, at least. You got these amazing Stephen Curry runs near the end of the game. He hits this ridiculous corner three-pointer where I can't even believe he got his feet set before he threw the ball up. He had another three from like 30 feet where Reaves and I think it was Max Christie screw up kind of a switch there, and he gets just like wide open. And then Reaves comes down, makes a layup to win the game, 115 to 113 for the Lakers. And the reason I want to talk about Reaves is twofold. First, awesome game on Christmas. Anthony Davis goes down like 7 or 8 minutes into this game. Reaves steps up, goes for 26 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. Second, Reaves has been awesome since he got back from that hip contusion that he had. I think he had like a hip contusion or a pelvic contusion, whatever they're going to refer to it as. Missed like 6 or so games. Since he's been back, Austin Reaves is averaging 20 points, 6 rebounds, 7.4 assists, shooting 45, 39, 83. And I think that his little run here is probably the big reason why they felt comfortable being able to deal D'Angelo Russell. I think that the way Reaves has played over the course of this little run here has made him look like a top half of the league starting point guard. Like, forget him being a 2 guard or like a combo guard like he plays normally. I've long assumed that Austin could play point guard based off of his vision, based off of his creativity and ball screens. And we're finally getting a chance to see that a little bit more often during the course of this run. And I'm really excited just to kind of dive in and talk through why I think Reaves has been so good recently. The other thing I'm going to say too is I thought a lot of his best passes in this game actually didn't end up going for assists, which was really, really fun. So while we're here, Lawrence Field asks, Austin went to Oklahoma. Do you think there's a Sooner who will get drafted this year? Boy, do I. And Jeremiah Fears. I'm probably a little bit lower than the rest of the internet on Jeremiah Fears. We'll talk about that maybe with Bryce on the Thursday show, but I am definitely intrigued by the fact that he can seemingly get to the rim whenever he wants. He's a guy that I am desperate to watch an SEC play whenever their schedule starts to heat up a little bit more. But let's talk about Austin Reaves here. All right. So as usual, we're just going to go through all of the relevant plays that Reaves had in this game. I've pulled the tape. We're going to dive in. So this one, Reaves headband versus headband matchup here with Dennis Schroeder. Schroeder's going to try and drive him baseline. Look, Austin Reaves is not the fastest guy in the world. He's not the best defender in the world. I generally think Austin does a pretty good job on defense of kind of sending guys where he needs to send them and sending them into the help or sending them baseline. I think that he is really, really good at using his size at 6'5" and using his overall just ability to be bigger than most of the guys that he ends up guarding at the lead guard spot to force players in a certain direction. I think he has a really, really good sense of how to use his body. He's just not overly strong, and he's not capable of being particularly physical on the NBA level. He doesn't shy away from contact, but he's just not super, super strong yet. And I doubt he'll ever be super strong. But this one forces Schroeder baseline. Trace Jackson Davis helps, or cuts in here. You're just going to see Reaves swat down on this ball. He's going to get it, and then he's going to go. This pass, look, as we talked about on the show yesterday, I am generally more of a fan of Rui as a guy who comes off the bench. I think his game makes a little bit more sense there, and I think that the Dorian Finney-Smith edition is more about bringing Finney-Smith in for Rui as a starter than it is for bringing him in as a starter for Max Christie. Finney-Smith is more of a guy who guards like 3, 4, 5 at this point, as opposed to like 2 through 4 for instance, is a switchable defender. But Finney Smith is super sharp rotationally defensively. Rui, I think, just as a kid that didn't grow up playing basketball and, is from Japan, I don't think the game comes as naturally to him as it does for some guys. And this one's kind of a prime example to me of this. It's not like the biggest deal in the world, but it does result in a turnover. To me, he just kind of slows up here, right? And he stands right up for some reason. Austin's clearly going to try and feed him. All he has to do is keep beating Buddy Hield down the court here. Or Dennis Schroeder, I'm sorry. He has the angle. He has the body to be able to cut off Schroeder. And instead, he just kind of slows down. I think that pass is where it has to be, if I'm being honest. And I think that in general, people will look at Rui and say, oh, he's shooting, 40 odd % from three this year. But he does it on like 3 attempts per game and doesn't really get guarded out there. That's kind of the difference between somebody like him and Dorian Finney-Smith. Finney-Smith is 31 years old. He's hitting 42% from three this year. But opponents take him seriously as a shooter. Rui, in my opinion, they don't really take seriously as a shooter, especially because Rui takes forever to get the shot off and because he tends to catch and hold the ball. That's honestly the thing that drives me craziest with Rui is the fact that he catches and holds the ball. All this is fine. Rui is definitely a rotation player in the NBA, but I think he's better as like a 6th or 7th man. Reaves, I think, does a good job of actually forcing the steal, getting the ball into an area where Rui should be able to run onto it. Rui just slowed up a second earlier, and it results in a turnover. Actually, no, it resulted in a foul. I'm sorry. They kind of gave Rui a bailout call there. Now we get Austin coming downhill. This is on Buddy Hield. The thing about Reaves that I really appreciate is that he doesn't really have to slow down to cross over a lot of the time. His handle is, I don't know that I'd say his handle is tight, but it's quite creative, I think. And he's able to just cross very quickly and get downhill and be able to force these angles. And he also, as you see here, really knows how to use his shoulders well to be able to create that little bit of separation. So he creates that separation here, kind of loses the ball as he goes up, finishes at the rim. Really sharp. First 2 of the game. This one, simple, right? Now we're just getting into it. Again, wouldn't say he has like the tightest handle in the world here. Like he ends up kind of taking this like extra little step here. But he has a quick release on the jumper. Uses his shoulders well to kind of hesitate, make it seem like he's going to go down this way as Connect is cutting to the rim. Connect has to be accounted for by one of these 2 guys. As soon as Reaves sees both of their shoulders go back, like this, you can see that he's literally going to decide to just pull here. Their momentum is going backward, momentum going backward. He feels it. He sees it. He stops, pops, drills the 3. His feel for the game as a ball handler is just really, really high level. So this one, kind of a side ball screen here. He's going to go baseline. He's going to get blocked. Keeps his eyes up, consistently looking for the open players. Again, not like an overly vertical player. Trace Jackson Davis is able to get him here. But you immediately see him catch it, not quit on the play, and then he's looking out this way. He's looking out for a kick out because he feels 1, 2, 3 defenders in here versus only one of his teammates being in here. So that means somebody has to be open. In this case, it ends up being that his first look is right. He's looking here where the help has come from. That means the most likely area to be open is Christie on the wing. He kind of carves out space, whips this ball out. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Awesome transition player as well. I think he does a great job of using his balance at a really high level. This is one where I think you would assume that Pods is like a decent matchup for him physically. He's just not. He's not strong enough for Reaves. Reaves can just kind of move these guys where he needs to and get to the spots he wants to. Guys like Schroeder, guys like Pods. Here, you get to kind of see the body control and the coordination that I think makes Reaves really, really special as a scorer and in this mid-range area. If you remember Reaves at Oklahoma, he was actually kind of a mid-range killer and like a driver as opposed to like a three-point shooter, right? It was really funny. Like at Wichita State, he was more of like a three-point shooter in his first 2 years and made like 40% because he mostly shot catch and shoot threes. Then at Oklahoma, he took a ton more pull-ups and was a lot more on the ball, and you got to see him drive and create and be the player that we've seen in the NBA a little bit more often. In large part to me, it's because of this balance, right? So you just look at how he's able to absorb this contact and kind of reposition himself. Yeah, he's fading away here, but look at how his body isn't leaning one way. It's not leaning to the left. It's really straight up and down. And he's able to maintain that touch because of that strength through contact. Put it softly up off the backboard, knock down the shot. These are just really, really fun sets that the Lakers love to run, these little DHO reject plays, right? So sideline out of bounds play. LeBron's going to set a screen for Reaves here. Reaves is going to go get the ball. Max Christie comes around. Reaves hesitates like he's going to dribble handoff this ball. Curry is going to follow Christie here. Wiggins is going to just have that little momentary step where he thinks he might have to get out to Christie. He's going to get up on his, or get down on his heels a little bit, and then Reaves is going to be able to attack and get downhill. Really good spacing here as well. On this action, both guys in the corners. Plays like this are why Dalton Connect is really valuable to me, because the automatic obvious help here should be coming from the opposite corner. But because Connect is such a good shooter, Pods really does have to stay attached here for a little bit longer. Curry's going to have to kind of X out down to Connect here. But it doesn't matter. They end up, by the time that Pods helps, because of that late reaction, Reaves is already at the rim. It's an easy finish. Really good play design, really good architecture there from JJ Redick and the coaching staff. Really, really sharp play. Here, end of the second quarter. Ball screen from LeBron. This was, to me, probably Reaves' best pass. There's one other one later that I thought was really, really high level. This is not a complicated action here. We've got Draymond Green guarding Max Christie. Draymond is a player that, by and large, and teams can scout for this and prepare for this, and once you've played Draymond, you know what the deal is. He's going to play on the opposing team's probably worst player, unless you have to have him guard LeBron on specific possessions, and he's going to be a help defense menace. He's been this way for a decade, right? So here, Wiggins gets onto Reaves. Reaves just with the overall hip flexibility here too. Remember how I said like he doesn't really have to slow down as much to cross over as often? That's because his hips are extremely flexible. He's able to kind of find these little creases that other guys can't. If you have stiff hips kind of through your midsection, you're not going to be able to stop here and then kind of continue to go left and then straight downhill, it's going to be much, much harder for guys like him. Reaves goes up like he's going to go for this shot. Green helps over, given that it's a scramble situation. Austin sees it. And he just hits this wide open kick out here. Process is really sharp here. Good eye manipulation. Christie just doesn't make the shot, unfortunately. 8 minutes left in the third now. Again, hockey assist, really good pass here. Early offense. Again, you know Draymond is going to help. He's going to be there, and they're going to scramble around. Even at this point here, Reeves' eyes are still looking at the rim, which makes Draymond go up for this shot. But Reeves is able to stop, survey, hit the kick out, hits the hockey assist here. Vincent down to Christie. Again, can't make him for him, right? But that's good offensive execution. This to me is kind of the shot where if he gets this really consistently, it's going to be exceptionally difficult to stop Austin Reaves. He has this little teardrop floater that he can make from time to time, but it doesn't feel like he makes it quite often enough. He's going to make one later in this game, but if you look at it, the numbers, he's at like 45% this year on floaters. It's a solid number. Not an amazing number, but like it's a number that's good enough, right? Last year he was at 53%. The year before that he was at, let's see here, 50%. If this can be like a consistent 50 to 55% shot like it was the previous 2 years, that's where he gets really, really lethal. So far this year, it's been a little bit lower. He hasn't made them quite as consistently. But man, this is a tough shot to stop. What I love about this one too is the way he sets up his defender, Kuminga here. Puts the ball in his left hand as LeBron is coming up for the screen. Sees Kuminga jump this way. They want to try and ice this ball screen, this empty side action. And as soon as he sees it, he just gets downhill and rejects it with a quick cross, gets downhill. Again, really good at finding these little creases through defenders with Wiggins and Kuminga there. Uses those hips to be able to get through. Stops before Draymond can get there. Probably a touch off balance compared to what he typically is in this spot. Man, if he can make that over 50% of the time, he's going to be a really, really tough guard. And he's done it before. If he can get that shot back to where it's been the last couple of years, he is a difficult, difficult guy to stop. He is probably a 20-point per game scorer at that point, consistently. Here, I just love what he's looking at defensively. Again, doesn't have like the most physical tools on defense, right? So here he is picking up Curry in transition. LeBron kind of sinks off to help because he's dealing with Draymond as the trailer, which means he can kind of help off onto Steph. Makes sense to me. You always want to double the team's best player if you can in these situations. They just decide to switch it and leave LeBron there. Reaves ends up kind of deciding to be cognizant of Curry here after he crosses and kind of opens up this angle, knowing that you don't want Christie to have the same side help off of Wiggins. That's a 40% three-point shooter. Maybe you could have Rui help off, but I don't really always trust Rui's defensive rotations. And here he helps in, then gets back here and just walls up against Draymond. Draymond tries to go into his chest. Nothing doing. Misses the shot. Rebound. Fast break pass. We're out. It's great work. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Let's get to a quick little note from PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money action. There are over 10 million members. Like I said a second ago, they invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. PrizePicks always puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. We are big fans of PrizePicks here. We absolutely love the app and what they're doing for the daily fantasy sports scene. Download the app today and use code GameTheory to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use that code GameTheory to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Here, double ball screen at the top. This was actually my favorite pass of the day. And again, just ends up being a miss. This is the one I was referring to earlier when I said I think he has only maybe one other better one. So Reaves sets a little rub screen there for connect. Then he's going to flip around and set this little double screen, sort of a double dragon transition, right, for Reaves. Trace Jackson-Davis has to be accountable here as the drop defender because Wiggins is back on Reeves' hip. Rui gets behind him. Kuminga has to help up. It's going to leave Reddish wide open. Reeves sees it. And just zips this ball out to Reddish. Look at the accuracy on this thing. Look at the velocity. Right in the shooter's pocket. Real velocity on the ball. It's perfect. Can't make it for him. He had 10 assists. He could have had way more in this game. Simple one. Rui drills this 3. Rui, I think, ended up making like 5 threes in this game. Yeah, all this is simple step-up screen. Floats it into a pick and pop. Reeves does a great job drawing both defenders here. Hield has to make a choice. Okay, do I fully close out here? Because if I do that, he should just be able to zip this ball over to connect. Or do I kind of stay in the gap? He decides to stay in the gap. This is kind of what I'm referring to in terms of like Rui not getting treated like a real shooter. This is like actually like a really prime example of it, where opponents will make decisions on who they have to leave open in help situations from time to time. They very clearly are making a decision here like, okay, this is the shot we're comfortable with as opposed to this shot here with connect. Now, if I was Buddy and if I was Golden State, I probably would want to close out there, if only because Wiggins can shoot up here and then you can hopefully get this X out from Trace Jackson-Davis if you need a late closeout onto Cam Reddish. But really what I'd want from Trace isn't even a full X out. I'd just say, okay, go into the lane here and just be available in case Cam Reddish decides to drive. But because they have multiple non-shooters on the court, or questionable shooters, let's go with, maybe not non-shooters, I think I would be a little bit more comfortable with a full closeout here from Hield. But you understand why this is kind of the prime example of Rui not getting treated like a shooter all the time and why Dorian Finney-Smith might be a little bit better of an option. Rui makes the shot, but he hasn't always been the best 3-point shooter throughout the course of his career, and he hasn't always been the most willing to take them throughout the course of his career either. Is kind of the critical thing. He's hitting 45% from three this year, and he's only taking 3.6 per game. It says to me he's taking the open ones, realistically. And by the way, the year before that, he hit 42% last year, but the year before that, he was at 32%. In his first 4 years in the NBA, Rui made, let's see here, 34.7 from three. And that includes like a huge jump year in his third season for Washington. Maybe you could say that the fourth season at 32% is the outlier now, but given the volume and the fact that he only takes wide open ones, don't know totally how I feel about that. Perfect pass, though, from Reaves. Perfect way to draw the double. Here, just a quick little ghost action. He's going to drill this. This is the kind of stuff you can do with Reaves because he is a very capable catch and shoot shooter. Comes up here like he's going to set a screen, then just exits. Schroeder stays attached for just that extra split second up here. Christie gets it to Reaves. This is just enough time for him to get loose. Simple action. Simple shot. Knocks it down. I love the process there. Horn set. Dribble handoff. Connect to Reaves. Now we're starting to get hot. Notice, by the way, I believe that's 2 consecutive possessions here. Horn set, for people who are new here, 2 at the elbows, foul line extended area, 2 in the corners. Connect comes up here, gets the ball, runs the DHO. A lot of different ways you can do this after the entry into these guys at the top. Sometimes Reaves will go away. Sometimes he'll do what he does here, try and get downhill off of the dribble handoff. Tries to get downhill. Quick cross to get back. That is a lot of separation there against Dennis Schroeder, who has long arms, but is like 6'1". He's here. This is a big window. Reaves steps into it, knocks it down. Easy. Koloko screen, step up, kick out. Again, can't make it for him. I thought Reaves' best passes today, or on Christmas, I guess, were the ones where he was driving and kicking, and he didn't end up actually getting an assist for them. So step up here from Koloko. Lakers generally have kind of simplified their offense a little bit more as compared to what they were running early in the season, where I felt like they were running a ton of actions. I would kind of like to see them get into a little bit more like stack action. I think consistently that is one thing where really I feel like they can be effective. I don't know totally what the numbers say, but I feel like anecdotally just watching their games, stack actions, especially with LeBron and AD and Reaves, as 2 of the 3 players within the stack, really end up scoring at a high rate. I would be interested to know the numbers if somebody has those. Again, you're going to kind of get to see here, not the tightest ball handler. Like Hield here is able to kind of get his hand in, I think, and just kind of bat this ball a bit. But he has awesome hand-eye coordination. He ends up getting his right hand back on this ball, recovers it with the left, then throws this beautiful little wraparound here after Pods kind of sinks in. He just is always kind of available. He has innate feel for the game that you can't really teach. I think he is just an outstanding passer and playmaker overall. This one was kind of coming off of like a weird timeout where we didn't get to see how the play kind of operated and started. I am going to guess, given the way that this does start, that LeBron set a screen maybe like here. Draymond kind of got out early And Draymond getting out early while Wiggins kind of getting caught on this screen here ends up opening this massive pocket. Reaves sees this pocket, drills the pass into LeBron. LeBron through contact. Great work. Easy bucket right through Kuminga's chest. Again, I don't think the Pods is a great matchup onto Reaves, despite the fact that they are similarly athletic. Reaves just kind of separates here. They end up having to peel switch it because Pods gets caught on this screen. You can see Draymond here communicate the peel. He says, stay, stay, stay. Pods stays. Reaves just crosses here. It's a big window. If he can make that shot, again, Lakers' ceiling totally changes if he can make that shot. This year, Reaves is shooting 38% on pull-up threes. It's a great number. It's a really, really good number. If he can hit it at that number consistently, he's a real 20-point per game scorer. This is beautiful. Just steps into one right. They make it a little too easy here. You see Rui kind of filter through the play here. That forces Hield up, or is that Schroeder? One of Schroeder or Hield. Might be Schroeder. LeBron sees the kick out, passes over the top to the corner. Wiggins shoots down to try and X out. That's going to leave Trace Jackson Davis on to Reaves. But when Vincent pump fakes and attacks here, Trace feels like he has to go. And as soon as literally the second that Vincent sees Trace shoot down, he hits this kick out to Reaves. It's perfect basketball. Absolutely perfect. 3, nails it. 4 minutes left in the game. We're starting to really get down to a tough moment. 6-point lead for the Lakers. This is the teardrop floater he makes. 8-point lead for the Lakers with 4 minutes left. Nothing too complicated about this one. I like that he continues to filter through into the paint here instead of spotting up. He kind of sees that Vincent has continued to filter through and is acting almost as like a lead blocker, for instance, in football. This really kind of ends up being a 2-on-3 here, where he's got 2 defenders here for 1, 2, 3. He's just trying to figure out, okay, is Trace going to come up and try and block my shot? If so, I'm going to get this to Gabe Vincent. Is Schroeder going to come over and try and swipe at the ball? If not, okay, cool. If he does, I'm going to get this ball out to Max Christie. Nobody really attaches, comes out, teardrop floater, drills it. 2 minutes left, still an 8-point game. Ball screen. What are we in now? We're in a 4-on-3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Versus 1, 2, 3. So he's just looking here to see, what are these defenders going to do? How are they going to play me? Wiggins is going to be the one to step up. Okay, cool. I'm going to shoot this ball out to Rui. But wait. Schroeder, as soon as he sees Wiggins step up, does an amazing job of closing out here this angle onto Rui, which means Reaves has to stop and pivot. Kick out to Vincent, kick out to Christie. I like the process there. I think the process totally works. I think it's sharp. Just didn't work out. And then the Warriors go on their crazy run. And now 6 seconds left. I mean, this is just a beautiful play. I love these plays that teams are running now. where it's basically like kind of a weird like scissors action where let's draw a better arrow for Gabe Vincent so you can see the scissors. So there's one, there's two. LeBron kind of filters through. Reaves is going to come down here, try to set this little rub screen here for LeBron to come around. Draymond does an amazing job on LeBron here. So Reaves just comes and he's the safety outlet to the ball. And now we're just one-on-one against Andrew Wiggins. And I think that this play is a really great example of the leverage and bend that Reaves plays with that we haven't really talked about yet. I think Reaves often looks like a player who doesn't play with great bend because he often hunches his back over, right? It's pretty normal to see his back kind of hunched like this. But it actually kind of underrates the level of leverage that he's able to play with bend through his lower half and through his legs. Like he is great at using these legs to drive off of, bending his knees, getting through the play, getting lower than a guy in Andrew Wiggins who has kind of high hips. He's a really good defender. I wouldn't say he's a great defender. He's a really good defender by and large, but you can leverage him. And Reaves here does a great job leveraging him. One hand gather here up to the rim, inside hand, makes it so that Wiggins in his recovery isn't going to be able to go and get this ball, goes up quick. It's perfect. A well-deserved game winner. Curry throws one up at the end that ends up being really tight. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Now, in terms of like what the Lakers should be doing now that they have Dorian Finney-Smith, the thing that I said yesterday was, look, like I think Reaves can handle the point guard position, but I worry about them having enough ball handling in the 35 minutes when Reaves is off the court. That would be my main worry. Those are 13 minutes that could really crush you in a game, could really cause you problems in a game, in a playoff game, in a big moment. I do think they have to go and they have to get somebody. But overall, I do think that between staggering LeBron and Reaves enough, you can probably mix and match it to a point where it works. But the problem with that then is that you're having many more minutes, let's say, probably 12 minutes. You're probably having 24 minutes a game, basically, where LeBron and Austin Reaves are not on the court together, and they work really well together because Reaves's IQ and his feel for the game really blends well with LeBron's IQ and feel for the game. So given that, you're kind of probably limiting yourself at that point to maybe only 12 minutes where they're overlapping per game at that point. Maybe even a little bit less than that now I think about it. Maybe more than that, maybe a little bit more than that. But like you're reducing the overlap at that point between LeBron and Austin Reaves on the court together. If you have to stagger them and make sure that one of them is on the court at all times, which is what they have to do right now without D'Angelo Russell on the team. So I would like them to go out and get, at the very least, another ball handler. I think another ball handler would really make sense for them and would be able to allow them to balance lineups better as opposed to what they might have to do for this little run here after acquiring Dorian Finney-Smith, a move that I think makes an immense amount of sense for the Lakers. And I really like him as an upgrade on Rui, but they have to go and do something else was my ultimate takeaway on the deal. But look, Reaves averaging 26 and 7 since he's come back from that little hip injury is absolutely a huge reason why they feel like they can play him at point guard and why I feel like they can play him at point guard pretty consistently. He's been awesome, deserves a ton of flowers. Not an all-star player necessarily, but a guy that I think realistically could be like a number 3 guy on a conference finalist, which we've seen previously from Austin Reaves. He continues to be on this contract where he's getting paid like $12 million a year because of the archaic, ridiculous Arenas rule provisions. he continues to be, if not the best bargain in the league, maybe the best non-star bargain in the league, certainly one of the best non-star bargains in the league at this point. He's been awesome this year, and he might be turning into a star on some level at least. Really, really great season from Austin Reaves to this point.